Good evening, I'm back again here. And Smriti Irani, I don't know how to introduce her, all of you know now. And I don't know how many times I've interviewed her. And she always gets the better of me. Normally I get the better of others, she gets better of me. I don't know how she does that. The problem with me is not I've been talking to Smriti Irani most of the times. Now I have to talk to Tulsi Irani. Do I talk to Tulsi Irani or Smriti Irani?
I think there are very few professionals today who can do well in two fields and work 32 years non-stop as a professional. So you can speak to the professional which will embody possibly my politics, media, and other pursuits in life.
No, I am saying because I've interviewed her when she was Tulsi Irani earlier, then she became Tulsi Irani. Then now she's back to Tulsi Irani again. I have not interviewed her as Tulsi Irani yet. I'm trying to understand that your shift from politics to entertainment, first for entertainment, what difference you found now and then?
I think, Prabhuji, there is a great misconception that there is a switch or there is an oscillation. Both the journeys have been complementary. Both the journeys have run parallelly. And I believe that it is very difficult for people to consume that reality because it's very difficult to find people who can be in two different fields and balance between the two and not let them intersect in such a way that somebody who is a part of media then leverages that media presence for politics. Or for that matter, somebody who's in politics doesn't enforce political power into the media space. So given that I am that anomaly, it must be very difficult for people to understand that I can have both those journeys which can go along together, and that too for over 2.5 decades.
No, but it seems now you are in politics also, you're not in politics also. I don't understand. What is your...
No, I am very much in politics. I think that the hiatus from media was predominantly because of the constitutional position I held. My belief was that when you have a constitutional responsibility, you cannot tell people that you serve that I'll not be available for a few hours or a few days in a month where people want you to productively work for them 24/7. So it was a very conscious call to disengage from media when I had constitutional responsibilities. The fact that my responsibilities in government ranged for a good decade also possibly is a blessing because it's very rare for somebody from media to come at the helm of success. Normally people go from media onwards to politics when they feel that their media career is withering. I had the good fortune of leaving my success at its peak and then going to a constitutional position because ideologically, and I'm sure you've heard of Yashwantrao Kelkarji who had said in student politics that it's very easy to leave failure and come to the political field. It is very difficult when you leave behind success and dedicate yourself to public service. So I guess that was the harbinger of this change.
But don't you think there is a possibility that you were feeling a little uncomfortable in politics now?
Not at all.
Not
I think that in politics, I have established my credentials enough to not feel uncomfortable. I am, whether people like it or not, the only human being in Indian politics right now who has defeated the national president of the Congress party. That's never happened in the history of our country.
No, when
so
you look
till
at...
such time somebody rewrites that part of history,
No,
you
why I'm
cannot take
asking
away
you,
that credential.
because
I see the former VC of IFLU and Nalanda seated in the audience today. I remember that I had the opportunity of serving with her when I was Minister Education. If you look back at the annals of history academically, I may have been the only woman who chaired the IIT Council of India.
No, why I'm asking because you are more...
So if I go back and have a conversation, let's say with that VC or with somebody who was academically leading IIT, I have an established record which can be then leveraged or which can be depended upon for anybody to ensue into a conversation with me.
No, because you are more visible in politics because you defeated Rahul Gandhi. He was undefeatable at that point of time and you were known as a giant killer. Now we see last couple of years now, you are seeing more your international platform. You have got much more recognition than earlier. You were domestically much better known. Now you are heading alliances, which are global alliances. You are traveling all over the world. You are hardly in India. You are addressing meetings twice a day, chambers, everybody else. your role has expanded beyond politics.
I'm extremely proud that as an Indian woman, I can establish on global platforms that Indian women are not only about advocacy and rights, that they can lead on issues of academia, that they can lead on issues of economics and equity and enterprise. So I'm extremely fortunate that at the World Economic Forum or at UN agencies in the headquarters in New York, I can speak about what Indian women today want to position themselves on instead of just speaking about rights-based conversation, which have had a limitation because my belief is you ensure that a woman is economically robust or economically secure, and then she has the capacity to take care of her rights. She just lacks possibly the monetary capacity to ensure a respectful, dignified life. So if you fill that economic gap in a woman's life, I'm sure that every woman, at least that I know in my country, is capable of achieving her goals and protecting her rights.
Shruti, I don't understand one thing. In the morning, you are addressing global forums. In the afternoon, you are addressing some women power empowerment session. In the evening, on the TV, you are crying every day. How do you reconcile to that?
I'm not at all crying. I'm supposedly a 60-year-old.
As a sass and
and even as a 57, 60-year-old character on Indian television, I must here add that media was looked upon from a female perspective as women who are either very homely or women who are very glamorous. Central characters were basically women who were 18 years old or maximum aged at 25 years old. The fact that today Indian media can proudly say that we have 786 million TV homes in the country,
Yes.
And I am the protagonist of the #1 show, which presents a 60-year-old woman.
There's a contradiction there. I'm saying
of
here,
course,
here you are presenting yourself as the leader
even-
of the women.
Obviously, you haven't. You've missed what
I
is
watch
being-
your serial without a break every day.
So thank you for the paycheck. Now, let me just say
I watch
this.
only because I want to see how you,
So
you
even in the show,
connect with the real and unreal world.
no, even in the show we are talking about aging. Even in the show we are talking about divorced women. Even in the show we are talking about single women and motherhood. We are talking about child sexual abuse. So these are relevant social issues today. It is very rare where a melodrama gets an opportunity to present it to homes and families and make that focal point of conversation. So the fact that we did a good touch, bad touch scene and it got appreciated by the medical community, by the civil society, by viewers, and the fact that you can do all of this and still be #1 means that when the media presents adequate information, even if in a storyline, it does get accepted. Hence, what we have reduced is excuses that other storytellers give that we cannot give relevant social topics because nobody is watching. Well, they are watching at 10:30 in the night when half the world is sleeping.
No, Smriti, you have a very strong mind. You express yourself very well. What I am trying to say that do you need entertainment endorsement to what you are to become and recognize
But
as a
why
leader?
did I didn't go for recognition. I think I was very mindful when I wanted to do the reprise. One, there is no reprise which has ever worked in Indian television history. For me, it was an opportunity to make history again. Second, when I left the industry, I was the highest paid actor, not alone the highest paid woman, but I was the highest paid actor. There is no female actor at my age who has ever commanded the economic position that I command in the media business today, at least in television and television-based OTT. And when I went back, I wanted to make that example out for other female colleagues to tell creative economy that, listen, just because a woman hits, let's say, a particular age, over 30, over 50, she does not become redundant as a professional. The fact that I could do it as an example today, the fact that it succeeded financially is extremely important from a perspective of female colleagues that I have in the media business. They can always point out to the Smriti Irani example to say, she negotiated her contract, she said, I'll be the highest paid, she was accepted by the audience, so you can take a chance on us as well and re-employ us or give us new employment opportunities. Media field is extremely competitive. If you're behind the camera, it is comparatively more forgiving. If you're in front of the camera, it is absolutely ruthless because your age becomes your disability.
No, I'm asking the question again, repeating the same thing because you said what you are doing on TV. in the social issues you are taking up in that different kind. You are a mother-in-law, you're taking up the other issues also. You're talking about your daughters, you're talking about son, the family, how to keep it together. Then you call yourself, your social profile says you are a social entrepreneur. But this is a new discovery around there. You coined your own definition. You're a social entrepreneur. How
Well,
you are a social entrepreneur, I want
there's
to
an
understand.
Urdu word. If they don't give you a khitab, create one.
You are a politician, but you call yourself social entrepreneur, and most of the politicians also do social engineering most of the time. That is also some kind
So
of...
they engineer, I innovate, and that's the difference.
No, I'm coming back to... Because you live in Shanti Niketan. Your house now in Delhi, she lives in Shanti Niketan. Even on the screen, she also lives in Shanti Niketan. She goes out sometimes, then comes back. That's a different issue. So what are you trying to connect Shanti Niketan into
No,
also?
I'm not. That was the street where
It's
my...
a deliberate choice of Shanti Niketan.
Not at all. That was the street that my father used to sell books on. When I was 7 years old, I told my father, I said, one day maybe we'll have a house here. I don't know why a 7-year-old girl who had absolutely no shot at economic success would tell her father, who's on the street selling books, that don't worry, one day we'll have a house here. So for me, it was not about this collaboration between the real and the real world. It was keeping a promise to my father when I was 7 years old, and I kept that promise when I turned 48. I bought the house, I called him, he was the first person, and I said, look, I bought the house in the same street I made a promise on 42 years ago.
That's good. Coming back to your politics
So it's
now.
just prophetic that God got me to that space 42 years ago, and suddenly I'm a character on a show where the house is called Shantiniketan. That's not me, that's God.
Shruti, if I say that you seem to be much more liberated now in terms of your career than you were in politics?
Not at all. I was always the liberated one. Even in
There was-
politics, when you were watching me, it is just
In
the
politics,
glasses
when
you
in
were
politics,
using.
you were not allowed to maybe follow the discipline of the party.
I think that
party discipline.
one
and what-
has to be very, very pragmatic to know that when you are serving in a constitutional position and are a member of the cabinet, then there are constitutional maryadas within which you have to operate. That you're a part of a collective where the leader is the prime minister. And everything that you espouse does not become your personal, political, ideological view. You represent a country of 1.4 billion people. And your word then can be leveraged by government organizations or strategic teams across the world. Hence, you have to be very mindful of the fact that you cannot exceed the limitations of protocol because you don't want your statements to be leveraged against your countrymen and women. So it is not that I was mindful only of politics. I was mindful of a larger purpose that I'm serving, which is I'm serving a constitutional position which does not serve only people who voted for BJP. I also serve the interest of those who did not vote for us. Secondly, I believe that when you're talking about restrain and constrain on political issues, I am mindful that I've been a cabinet minister working under Prime Minister Modi's leadership for a decade. Today, if I make a statement, it will have value, and the government then it'll be incumbent upon them then to respond to what I say publicly. Hence, I do not want to be a burden on my government, my country to say, look, this is what a former cabinet minister said. So I don't want to debilitate the progress of my country. And that is why I'm very mindful. If it comes at the cost of being personally jeered, that is a cost you bear because that is the oath and the service you own to your country.
Smriti, because you are multi-talented, you have done...
I will not dispute that.
I'm just asking because when you lost the election, there are many other people who lost the election, they still retained as ministers. They were given more responsibility. There are many examples. I don't know to name anybody else. But you were popular on cinema, you were popular on small screen, big screen, practical screen, on the field. But what do you think that you were not utilized as per talent you possess by the BJP? And you chose
what
another
makes you
path.
think I'm not? The word utilization stinks actually. This word service is a much more graceful word. And I think that today, if I represented the state of Uttar Pradesh, I'm a part of the committee in Uttar Pradesh. I'm a part of the National Council of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I must again be one of the only few women in the entire ecosystem that has served from the time of Prime Minister Vajpayee up to Prime Minister Modi's tenure. Now that again is a history which I never espoused and I never declared amongst people. people. I was busy
I asked you
working.
the question. Other people lost, they became ministers, but you defeated somebody and you lost by the accident or whatever you call it.
I
But
think
you are
what-
not given the responsibility in the party, and because
Well, I've been
your style
national-
of functioning,
so
your thinking did not gel with the kind of leadership you have now in the party, not
No,
in the
but
government.
it's Prime Minister Modi who made me a Rajya Sabha member twice from Gujarat. My election papers are available on public record. The proposer for my Rajya Sabha both times from Gujarat, the first proposer's name was Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
He was the chief minister, therefore he was...
Yes, but it is not as though I was the only candidate. There were others as well. So as somebody who has publicly been given opportunities by the Prime Minister, I've had the privilege of serving with 5 BJP presidents, with Venkaiah Naidu ji, with Rajnath Singh ji, with Nitin Gadkari, with Amit Shah, with JP Nadda, and now with Nitin Naveen. That's my 6th president. And I'm just 49 years old.
No, you are more, as you gave out the
So-
figures, that you are the most highly paid actor you was once upon a time, and you are much more popular
And
now.
you know enough about politics, Prabhuji, to know that nobody survives 6 presidents.
But your future is in politics or in entertainment? Tell me this.
My future is in India, both in politics, and why should I not have influence in media? Please tell me.
Why shouldn't I? You have to choose between the two, no?
Why? If lawyers can be
You're
politicians...
not on the big screen,
No,
you
no,
are on
hang
the-
on. If lawyers can be politicians, if academicians can be politicians, and you never expect them to give up their professions or possibilities of their profession, why should I be compelled to give up?
Most of the people have come from entertainment. They never did the entertainment when they were in
I'm
politics.
not most people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be
You're
sitting
unique.
with Prabhu
You are
Chawla
only Smriti
at a
Irani.
time of warfare talking welfare.
You are only Smriti Irani. You want to prove that.
But I'm the only person, I mean, though it sounds immodest, but I want to place facts on record. I'm the only person, for the lack of a better word, from the entertainment business who's been the education minister of this country, who has helped create the National Education Policy Foundation. I'm the only person so called from the entertainment media who's created something called the National Ranking Framework, where you pick now, students help pick universities and colleges. I'm the only person from the entertainment business who created the PPE suit
I agree,
industry.
Smriti, I interrupt you here.
If my vocation became a negative for me, I would have never had these opportunities to serve. The fact that I could serve, create, and that creation policy framework lasts over a decade. I mean, you're making me tom-tom my achievements, but
You see, why I'm asking, you say you are the only
you look
woman
at me
who-
from the
who-
myopic view
who
of,
became that-
oh my God, she's from entertainment, how does she have a brain? But
You were the education minister and you survived for two years. You were there? 2 years?
yes.
Because after that, another 2 ministers came. But normally, Modi government is known for stability. They don't change the minister so often. But
You're
it was-
presuming the mind of the Prime Minister.
So at that time, you were known as a disruptionist. You were changing everything very
Yeah,
fast.
but Modi brought me into cabinet in that position because he did not want to maintain status quo.
So when you
If
were shifted
we
to
had maintained status quo, there would be no new education policy. If we had maintained status quo, there wouldn't be a Swayam platform, which today has 2 crore students learning over 1,000 courses. If I was not brought, let's say, to the Women and Child Development Ministry, the largest platform digitally available to ensure supplementary nutrition is given to 100 million beneficiaries, both female and children, would not have existed.
you gave the NEP, of course, you decided that after that it was altered much more better. After that you came, there were more changes made in that NEP also.
So the Prime Minister knew of my capacity to productively disrupt and to create frameworks.
Then he realized that you
because
you disrupted more than what he wanted, perhaps.
My issue is, if I had not done it, post me leaving that office, those programs would not have sustained.
So your speed was much faster than the Prime Minister thought you would.
No, maybe I was one step behind, but I was one step behind. And as a good protege, that's the greatest compliment you can pay to your teacher.
Did you anticipate AI at that time?
I think that I had the good fortune of understanding, because of my work with the Prime Minister, that technology will be the harbinger of many changes. And at that time, Prabhuji, when in 2014-15, towards the end of 14, we spoke about a digital platform for education. There was no COVID, so not many people understood And again, I defer to the VC here in front of me because she was one of the people that I created for that team to see how do we digitally provide access to institutes of repute like the IITs and the IIMs and make sure that policy is mainstream legislatively, that particular degree is covered. Because ultimately, even if a student puts in that effort on a digital platform and there is no policy legislative coverage, that paper has no value for that student in the job market. Now, when I did that, many people were a bit flummoxed because they felt that why would anybody study digitally? But because we prepared in advance, in COVID, we could use those systems. So I've had the good fortune of meeting some very bright technologists from across the world. And in my global travels, I do meet a lot of people, not only limited to education, but on issues of technology across the field. So when I talk to people, it is not a silo that I speak in. For instance, if you permit me, I'm a part of the Think Edu Conclave today. I don't know how many of you know of a deep mind intervention called AlphaFold. How many in the room know that? Only one, two? Anybody else? AlphaFold is about protein folding. It gives protein structures to scientists at the intersection of biology and technology so that they can then leverage it for scientific research across the world. In India, there are only 180,000 users of it. But if you ask how many use ChatGPT, there'll be 100 million users. What are people using ChatGPT for? You'll be shocked. In media, 64% people use it for either in some way making research concise or for writing articles. 65% of marketing people, professionals use it. Most people use it to draft either emails or PPTs. Now, technology is available to do protein folding and structural analysis.
ChatGPT gives you 100%, 100 times wrong information.
I'm saying technology is available to do both biology and to write emails. What we pick as citizens then helps technology deliver to us. So my desire is to basically encourage a consciousness of productive scientific use of technology so that we can push the envelope a little bit further.
No, but I've asked you the question about the AI because AI is becoming a tool. For example, they are propagating tools. You had the AI Summit conference also here. And I'm seeing some of the people are now getting patent registered in their own personality as picture. Tomorrow they're expecting Smriti Irani will be shown by somebody else.
That for me is a very minimal use of technology. Pardon me for saying this. And why am I saying this? Because ultimately, Prabhuji, we are not owning the enterprise software. We are building applications or leveraging enterprise software for a particular patent, right? Power in the years to come will come from the fact that you can own the product, that you can own the enterprise software which other people around the world can then utilize to build their application. So what are we focused on today? We are focused, let's say, you spoke about the summit, we are focused on data centers, correct? Now, if I look at data centers, India today, if you look at CREDAI, which is the amalgam of all private infrastructure builders in housing, CREDAI says today 18 million square feet of area is available in India to build data centers. Let me give you a small math.
But everything coming from abroad.
No. Let me give you a small math. I'll give you a small math. If I am to today build a scope of 5,000 servers, we will end up using per year 75 crore liters of fresh drinking water only for those 5,000 servers. We have the capacity scientifically, academically today in India that somebody in one of our institutes actually studies how to reduce the consumption of drinking water for servers. Can we do that? We may not be able to build enterprise software. Can we look at that intervention to see how can we productively add to the AI system globally? So there are many verticals in which we can work. Currently, our conversations are limited to patenting my face.
Correct.
But that's the least of the issues here. No, we can use AI on biology to enhance the scope. We can use AI in pharmacology to enhance the scope. But we ourselves, and there's nobody else to blame, we ourselves are not understanding the full potential of technology that is before us. It is a very momentous time in human history.
But how do you prevent outside interference? Because what you're talking about, Indians are used to apps and whatnot.
That is a strategic.
But they're entering your system because everything is from outside.
That is a strategic. I know that your concerns.
That's the danger there, no?
No. I know that your concerns stem from the fact, and I have spoken about this a year ago, where I sounded like an alarmist because I said ultimately, whoever owns software enterprise and leverages it for security, this will have a different dimension of a conversation. But those are the strategic interests of a country best left to Ministry of Defense, best left to Ministry of Home, best left to intelligence services, best left to external affairs. I'm talking about the academic use because I'm in an academic conclave. So your question cannot be belittled, but it has to be asked at the right platform.
And they're controlling every, you say it's a vehicle. For example, UPI may be Indian system, they can't break it. But through the banking system, they can enter there also, no?
The greatest savior today when we don't own enterprise software is the DPI structure that we made. Because for anybody, we have to recognize that 1/4 of the world right now is not digitally connected. Africa is not predominantly digitally connected, which means when we talk about algorithms have to feed off data. So there is a lot of synthetic data which is available today on which a lot of presumptions are being built. The second issue is that we are a linguistically very diverse country. We have 19,000 dialects currently and counting. Now, in a country with 19,000 dialects, if technology can be sovereignly made in Indian languages, because a lot of people presume that 125 constitutionally languages is all that we speak in. But imagine 19,000 applications in dialects available through sovereign intervention. Those are not government interventions, those are private sector interventions because we're a part of not a communist economy, we are a mixed economy. Hence, while we are talking about the welfare state where the government is spending 12 lakh crores in capital expenditure, we still, if we want to push research, especially in technology, we have to depend on the private sector. And private sector research funding today is abysmal compared to many parts of the world.
R&D, original R&D here. No? You're saying 90,000 applications are there because R&D is not here. So everybody access, you're getting whatever programming.
In molecular biology,
private sector will get it from
I'm not a biologist,
foreign countries.
I'm not a biologist, but in molecular biology, there is no assured success. Even AlphaFold that I'm speaking of, AlphaFold had to go through various levels of failures before it could get just 200 protein folding structures. So it's not as if you are assured success. Biology is biology. It is people who will want to risk that investment. In the US, we talk about Stanford and Harvard. They have something called research risk insurance.
So how do you prevent this AI?
To look at only academicians and say, you're not researching enough, we have to find ecosystems which are private sector based because the government is funding all it can already. The Prime Minister has created a research foundation where he has put in, the Treasury has put in 50,000 crores, but that does not encapsulate what the private sector has to do.
But how do you prevent this kind of misuse by outside forces? Because they are
like
they
I
are
said,
way ahead of us. Because we don't
like
have
I said, that is incumbent upon what has happened recently with Anthropic and the Department of State
even the American
in the
government
US.
had to yield to them.
But that is something for the strategic elements in our country to respond to. Given that they will have geopolitical implications, it would be foolhardy for somebody who served like I have to speak on it without taking the full measure of what Ministry of Defense, Ministry of External Affairs says on this. It would be extremely, extremely disrespectful to even the Cabinet Committee on Security to speak on it.
There are various issues. For example, I'm bringing this topic here because this cervical cancer vaccination started. There are questions being raised by all the NGOs because it was decided by this will lead to some kind of infidelity among the young girls. That is the question has been raised because that has come. You must have seen in the newspaper, in social media, a lot of things are happening.
I'm of the opinion that the explosion of social media is such that it began with the promise of democratization of information. Now it has become the instrument of polarizing conversation. My challenge that I foresee is that if you look at the investment cycle in technology today, let's say what has happened between NVIDIA, OpenAI, Oracle, then we will very soon have very rarely available platforms where you can fact check. So I'm more bothered about where can you get the facts. And if you remember my tenure as INB minister, I was one of the first ones to raise the bogey on fake news and fact checking. At that time too, again, I was earlier in my position and I was projecting and raising a red flag about what is to happen, and it happened just 2 years after I said it will. The issue is that slowly we are moving towards, globally as a society, towards a place where you wouldn't know everybody's invested in everybody.
But when I spoke to you, when you were INB minister, about the fact checking, what is happening, fact checking is a different kind of thing. Now the fact checking is happening to ban certain people, withdraw certain things. This is being misused, that fact checking.
I don't think so. I think that it depends on who looks at fact checking from what perspective. Like I said, I will admit to you that today's
Well, I'm saying this, let me
social
clarify.
media per se,
According to the government fact checking, what government tells is the fact. And what
But the
journalists
government-
what journalists think is the fact, there is a contradiction there.
No, I think that one has to be mindful of the fact that the government is answerable to Parliament. And every fact that the government checks, there is adequate data, there is adequate evidence to the position the government takes. One presumes that the government is working in absentia of all those elements. It's not. So knowing that the government is responsible on public, in record, with evidence, you can be at least assured that the government, when it fact checks, has a whole litany of evidences to back its position. I can't say the same for individuals, but I can definitely say it for the government. Because no government will be responsible to not back its position without evidence.
The other question which coming back to your politics again is that you are busy in entertainment, shooting must be shooting.
No, I think there's too much of a very, very lethargic presumption by you. I've just spoken to you, what, for the past 15 minutes on
Only 15
technology?
minutes?
How much of it was Saas Bahu?
You're on politics, you don't know to speak on politics.
No, this is the only time that you're not pushing back when I speak on technology.
We can speak on politics and education then.
No, I can speak on any topic. The issue is you're presuming I'm so busy that I don't know what's happening in the world.
Why are you uncomfortable with the word politics now?
I'm not. You are uncomfortable with the fact that I can survive both politics and
Because I'm
media
ask-
and no technology.
Because I'm asking you a question, because you are minimal.
See, we
part-
began this conversation with you saying you never got the better of me. We'll end the conversation with you accepting the same.
But I will ask you the question about politics again.
Yes.
Why are you not participating in campaigning? You are
Who said
you
I'm
speak
not?
7 languages.
I was there in Bihar. Please check the list. It's
No, I checked
publicly
the list.
available. I was there in Bihar.
I compared with the number of meetings you attended when you were the minister,
I was
and
there.
how many meetings
I
did you
was
attend?
there in Bihar. I am there in
Yes.
West Bengal.
You were-
I'm also there in UP. And I'm called to
and
Gujarat.
2017
and I'm
election, you were how many times you were in Bengal and how many times you are going now? We'll so
But
now.
the elections are yet to happen.
No, when you went at that
I'm
time.
sure you will see me somewhere in South Chennai when the election happens here.
Because you are giving.
That I can assure you.
I'm going to ask you the question because in politics you are the most popular face of the party.
Were? I'm not dead.
You are or you are not?
Still am. Because if
You're-
I was
you're
not,
this-
if I was not, you
You're the
wouldn't invite me.
One is the most popular face, one is the most demanded face, sought after face. You are the sought after face also.
Yes.
And that you are the popular as well, you remain popular even now.
Yes.
But are you the sought after face also? How many meetings you are attended? If I pull out from how many meetings you are attending, there
If I'm
hardly,
sitting-
hardly a meeting
If I'm
in
sitting
Delhi, for example.
if I'm like today, I'm here on the conclave. In exactly 3 days from now, God willing, I'll be at FAO in the UN in New York. Now, if you call me when I'm in New York to say, and Prabhu Chawla says, why aren't you in Delhi right now? I have to be factual, correct? What are you doing in New York? Well, I'm speaking at the FAO about equity economics and what women in India have done.
So you were in New York. That
Is
time.
anybody else invited there? I don't think so.
Anyway, coming.
It's easier to be invited when you're in government. One has to be very, very pragmatic. It is very difficult when you're invited on the basis of personal strength and experience. Government is a very easy instrument to leverage.
Just tell me more about why did you choose yourself to call yourself social entrepreneur?
Because I didn't call myself a social entrepreneur, I called myself a social innovator. Again, you misread
you're
my
innovator.
LinkedIn post.
From
And that's because I am reaching out to 300 cities and helping 1 lakh women-owned
You
businesses.
call yourself innovator, you are part of the startup campaign now. You're starting up again.
No, I'm helping close to 1 lakh women-owned small businesses. across 300 cities in the country. And I don't think anybody else is in the private capacity who is not an industrialist. I'm doing it.
What kind of things you're giving them? Just explain to the students. They must know.
So
no?
what
Because
we are
most of
doing
people are not-
is, if we
doesn't-
want women to be a part of the global supply chain, especially if they come from smaller towns, cities, or for that matter, from villages, one of their greatest challenges of engaging with global supply chains is that they do not know functional business skills in English. So we have teamed up with the British Council so that we can teach these women fundamental English language business skills. They will be certified by the British Council. We're going to run an aptitude test so that these women know what are the skill sets that they already have, which are dominant in them. They can be creative skills or mathematical skills, and they can enhance it through government programs. We are in a MOU with the Indian Chartered Accountants Institution and the Indian Company Secretaries Institution so that these women can be taught how to formalize their businesses. These are women who've had 3 years of independent fiscal journey. So they are not people who are just starting. They've maintained the discipline of running a company for a good 3 years. And then we've also collaborated with the National Stock Exchange that if any of these small businesses have the capacity to grow to a mid-sized business and then get listed at the stock exchange, we help those female-owned companies to get listed in the Indian Stock Exchange.
I saw one of your serials looking at you were a textile minister
Again, you
also.
come back to the serial.
Textile minister, you were there.
Yes.
I saw in the serial that you were trying to create a cooperative there also
Yes.
on the serial.
Yes.
That you collected some girls and women who were doing
Yes.
there. So,
And I'm in the serial telling a girl to walk out of a marriage where the man is demanding a dowry and telling the man that, she is financially very, very well off. She doesn't need to be shamed for it. So yeah, I'm doing that as well.
so what you are doing? Because most of the
Why are
women...
you so confused?
Huh? Sorry?
Why do you look so confused and flabbergasted with all that I'm doing?
No, because you are trying to say, I'm a social innovator.
You're
I'm-
basically not understanding how am I surviving all of this and
No,
still
no, I'm-
managing
I'm-
to smile.
I'm to understand Smriti Irani's new personality because
Maybe.
you are little.
No. But maybe, Prabhuji,
Because
could you ever
you are trying to
consider-
shift
Not
one by
at
one.
all.
I know that as
Not
your
at
style.
all. Maybe.
You're shifting.
Have you ever considered?
You say
No.
I'm in politics, but you're not in
No,
politics.
I'm
You are
in
saying I'm social
politics.
innovator. You are not an innovator. What complete work you are doing? What is your complete mission?
Basically,
you are so
you're
confused.
behaving like a typical man who wants
I'm
to pin me to a position.
Eh?
Nonsense.
You are saying I'm a member of the national executive, yet you are no of everything. I'm asking you,
You're
Smriti Irani.
flummoxed because you cannot tie me down to a silo. You can't tie me down to a definition you have of me.
No.
My idea of life will not depend on how
My
you
definition
see.
of Smriti Irani is much bigger than what you are explaining.
Okay,
you
fine.
reduced yourself
So,
to a film actor.
Not at all. Tell me which woman otherwise, politics, media, or business for that matter, who does not belong to an industrial house, is helping 1 lakh women-owned business. Give me one example.
You are given 1,50,000. This,
No.
this- because
Give me
frankly
one
speaking,
so let
you
me-
are
let me
claiming
ask
I have
you
no.
another
I
question.
accept your on face value because I don't have way to verify it. No? Therefore,
No,
I accept
I'll
it.
take you to 300 cities.
1,50,000
Come, I'll help you
big-
verify it.
I'm just connecting your
No,
personality.
let me give you another
Because
example.
you are
Which
saying,
female?
I'm trying to understand. You became
won't
social
understand. That's why
Let
I'm
me-
Smriti Irani.
Now you have become Prabhu Chawla, which I don't want. Earlier,
let me give you another
I didn't want to. I
No,
used to
Prabhuji,
interrupt.
let me give you another
I
example.
used to interrupt everybody. Now you're interrupting me
Okay,
before I
you are-
complete my question.
No, you are
Don't take
saying-
my role. I can't take your role.
No, you definitely can't take my role, and I am absolutely not interested in taking yours. The issue is this. How many women are currently leading an alliance on gender at the World Economic Forum?
I thought
where they
Smriti
are
Irani
not-
was not women. She was
bhai,
she was
listen.
leader of every community. There is no gender.
My issue is
You are reducing yourself to just
not
women.
at all. Not at all. My politics is about serving all genders, all communities. My social enterprise is about working for women. If you have a problem with that, too bad. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help women. There are other people helping every other gender, every other community. God bless them. My gender needs help. My gender needs support. My gender needs camaraderie, and I'm going to give it.
Because what I'm saying in politics, because role in politics, there are very few women at your level who are entered there. And in your party particularly, for example, there is always slogan of 30% reservation, what not happen. In the cabinet, there are about 2 women at the
The
cabinet.
next election is in 2029.
So you will become minister then.
How would I presume? Did you know
Why you're
COVID
talking
will
about
happen?
why you're
Did
talking
you
about
know
2029
COVID,
now?
No, did you know COVID will happen in 2015?
No, why did you talk about
After
2020?
going through COVID, you still want to presume what will happen 2 days from now.
Hey, why did you talk about 2020? I didn't ask that question.
No, because you think that politics, you're only relevant if you're a minister.
No, I didn't say that. You didn't allow me
That
to
you're
complete.
only
I didn't
relevant,
allow me to
that
complete.
you're only relevant if you have
You
a
are so
position.
successful, 150,000 women you are working for. You are making them much more economically productive. You are making their life better than what you do on the TV, you are trying to do on the field as well. So politics, you are getting away from politics. You are
Who said I'm
multifarious
getting
active.
away?
Sorry?
Who said I'm getting away?
Because you're not visible.
What do you want me to do? Scream in
Tell me then-
parliament and that's politics?
No, you are not an office bearer of the party.
So?
But you should have been.
But I'm
there.
still here. Can you imagine?
Sorry?
I'm still relevant and I'm here.
You are relevant. You are relevant outside politics, much more than you are in politics.
If I was not relevant in politics, do you think the Congress would troll me on every issue on my social media page?
But you are not, you are international forum not because of your politics. You are
No,
because
no,
you
on
are Smriti
politics
Irani.
also. No, on politics.
Do you think
also.
they called you because you belong to BJP? They made you international forum.
Hey Bhagwan, the issue is,
They
You-
made you
you
chairman
want
of alliance, whatever
nobody
you are.
made me. I created the alliance.
You created the alliance,
It was not a
but
hand-me-down.
you were accepted by the people, na?
I was accepted globally.
Not because you are a
Prabhuji.
BJP leader.
But I have had BJP leaders who work with me even to this day.
Sorry?
I still have BJP people I work with, including ministers to
If
this
you
day.
resign from BJP, you will be thrown out of that.
Why would I resign from the
That's
BJP?
what I'm saying.
But why would I resign?
No.
I'm not a Dal Badlu.
I'm saying Smriti
I
Irani.
spent 25 years
Smriti
in my
Irani-
party. I've given 25 years of my life to my party. And I spent 25 years out of which the Congress was in power for a good 10 years. I didn't leave then. I have a different ethic with which I work in politics. I don't do politics of comfort. I don't do politics of profit. Because if I did, then as minister for a decade, I would have had an army of social media people who would have protected me and glorified me. If I did, I've had my photographs splashed across all media publications for the 10 years that I was minister as to what a great job I'm doing as a minister. I was very, very focused on the policy direction that the Prime Minister wanted me to take. It is not disingenuous, or for that matter, it's not very difficult for me as somebody having a media background to leverage media to proclaim how great I've been. The issue is, why did I come into politics 25 years ago? I didn't come in for personal glory. I had that fame and glory as Tulsi. I came in because I wanted to fundamentally contribute to my country. Am I doing it across 300 cities today? Yes. Am I doing it as a policymaker for a decade in office? Yes. For me, that is of value. I never lived a political life of validation. You validate me, don't validate me, I'll still be very, very belligerent about my ideology.
Smriti, yes, I agree with you, but tell me one woman in the country, in Indian politics, who at their age became a cabinet minister, lost the election, went away, and became as famous as you are today without politics.
But then
Why?
if there were that many examples, I wouldn't be as unique as
You are
I
the only
am
Smriti
today.
Irani, na, or Smriti Irani, whatever.
But that's what I'm saying. If there were so many like me, then I wouldn't be me. It's very difficult to replicate me.
That's what I'm saying. It's very
So there
difficult.
are very
There
few
can't
women.
be second Smriti
So
Irani.
there are
I
very
agree
few
with you.
women at 49 who have been members of parliament for 3 terms. There are very few women who have served in 5 ministries. There are very few women at the same time who've been number 1 in Indian television and had 35% of the OTT market. Yes, but don't shame me for it. You should celebrate that. That at least one of us got to do it.
We've got a lot of students here. Can you tell them what mantra you follow and they should also follow the same
My
mantra?
request to all the academic community is this. There is enough technology today available at the cross-section of biology, pharmacology, and technology. The future of India lies in science. What technology is doing is slowly making computation physically redundant. Technology platforms today are making computation more and more easy. My appeal to all the academia and students community at large is to utilize that cross-sectionality of technology and to build a better, well-researched, scientifically evidenced future for yourself. if we cannot become a product power in the world, let's become the research engine for the world and the academic power that the world needs. Today, before us, we had panelists who were talking about creativity, about the humanism. The scary part, Prabhuji, is this morning there was news about how brain cells have been embedded into a chip and used to play Doomsday, which is a war game. And are any of us at the frontier of that innovation? We are not, because culturally, ethically, we have always used our intellectual capacity on issues of society. You are competing in a world which is putting warfare before welfare. We have this civilizational moment in time where we can become the harbinger of how technology can be utilized for welfare. We can redefine the old adage of Vasudev Kudambakam in a new technological fashion. This is that moment. Take it. I am of the last generation which has seen a world without technology and at the advent of it. After our generation, Prabhuji, the new generation will only know technologically enabled lives. So we are at that cross-section civilizationally. We need to use this time to give our youngsters a better shot at the future.
Thank you, Samriti. I can't ask many more questions. I interviewed her 20 years ago when she was new in the system. 20 years later, I'm still talking to her. And transformation of Smriti Irani, I just can't describe in any single sentence. She is much better known. She's talking economics, she's talking geography, she's talking science, she's talking AI, which she never spoke about it. I think that kind of leadership is required.
Well, you're still stuck in the Bahu era and forgetting that I'm Sas now.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming here.